What's going on YouTube? It's Maffu, and enjoy some fighting footage in the background while I yap to you about pilots. Yes, pilots. So if you don't know what pilots are, pilot is referring to a player who has someone else log onto their account and play their account for them. Now, this is obviously a big problem in Rise of Kingdoms. I would say the majority of players have had their account piloted at some point, and many players only play with pilots at this point in the game. And this is an issue due to the fact that pilots cause an unfair advantage. Obviously, the big whales and krakens are paying people to play on their accounts for them, and not only are they paying for people to accounts for them, but the kingdoms they're in are getting mad at them if they don't have pilots. Yes, you are required to have a pilot in this game in 2025. If you're in an A seed or Imperium seed and you do not have a pilot for your account, you are not an asset to the kingdom anymore, and you may get punished by the kingdom. If you guys saw the screenshot of Chisgul getting called out by his own kingdom for not having a pilot for his account, when he's a content creator and that breaks TOS, and he kind of has to follow to TOS because he's a content creator. That is just an insane screenshot. Now, obviously, 2377 versus 489. 489 had a ton of pilots. 2377 didn't have as many pilots as them, and obviously they're feeling upset about that, so they sent out a message calling people out for not having pilots. It's completely fair to be mad about people for not having pilots because of the state of the game, but I feel like it's so weird to try to force a player to have another player log on to their account. Like, I don't agree with that at all. But having pilots allows you to fight longer, farm barbs, get tons of honor in KvK, and get tons of rewards. It creates a huge unbalance in the fairness of the game. And this is because pilots are competing against players who use their own time. Let's say I go to school, I work, I won't have the time to play during that time, and unless I pay someone to play during that time, my account is inactive. And this causes a lot of issues for both sides. The players that want to have pilots, the people that go to work and pay the pilots to play the game for them, would be upset if pilots got removed. And players who are more casual, can't afford to pay a pilot, don't want to pay a pilot, want to play their own account for their own satisfaction, want the pilots to be removed because it's unfair. And the normal players, they can't compete against pilots because pilots can play 24/7. And this leads to frustration on both sides. If pilots get removed, a lot of the big whales, big spenders would end up quitting the game. If pilots stay in the game, a lot of the players who were casual, it leads to frustration and they might quit the game as well. And this overall just shrinks the community on both sides. When you get pilots, you get more rewards for KvK, you can get more rewards for, you can play more events. I don't want to say who, but you guys may know, but there's even people who are pilot for Champions of Olympia. That's crazy. But you end up getting more rewards than people who don't pilot at the end of the day. And the people who are legitimately grinding the game can't actually get the rewards that the pilots are getting because they just don't have enough time. So that leads to many problems in the integrity of the game. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people would not want to play a game where they don't have a chance of winning by their own skill or time. That you would have to pay someone else to play on your account, which is just kind of insane in my opinion. Another big problem with pilots is risk of scam and account theft / griefing. I've heard of many cases where accounts get griefed by pilots. If you guys know Chilling Ice, who comes in my live stream sometimes, they had a big account in KvK1 or KvK2, and a pilot dismantled their full gear set. So giving strangers your login can lead to account problems. Plus, it's against the terms of service. Now, is that really enforced by Lilith? Not at all. If that was enforced by Lilith, I think like thousands upon thousands accounts would get banned every single day. It's a really big issue in this game. Not only do people pilot in KvKs, they pilot in highly competitive events. Supreme Strife, Osiris League, they probably have pilots on their top accounts. So what do you guys think about people having pilots for big events like that? Because I'm sure that all these top Supreme Strife accounts aren't actually being played by the account owners. They're probably being played by pilots instead. This is just a guess. I obviously don't know, but these are like highly broadcasted events by Rise of Kingdoms I see their live streams constantly going on when I'm browsing YouTube. So even during these important events, which I feel like the stakes are higher, even higher than a KVK, they're still having pilots being ran. And I feel like the terms of service that Loath puts in place in the game aren't actually enforced. So people who are actually following the terms of service and being honest player do feel punished by following the rules. People bought resources, they have farm bots, people bought gems. I see it all the time where there's gem bots going out. People pilot, people share accounts. There's a lot of things against the term of service that are just allowed to happen in the game, and it's really hard to find a solution for it. Now, obviously, the solution for stopping piloting is very, very easy. You just make it harder to log in from new devices, make it harder for pilots to hop accounts easily. You could maybe device lock an account. You could do server-side activity tracking with IPs. You can lock event participation to the device that completed the sign-in for when you sign in for an event like Supreme Strife. And you can actually just start giving out warnings or bans to people who break terms of service. Now, will these solutions actually solve the problem of piloting? I don't think so, because with these solutions, quote-unquote solutions, it will lead to a lot of the players quitting the game. And that is because they rely on pilots to play the game. So what can you even do? What can you do? There's not a lot off the top of my head. The only thing is, I feel like what you could start doing for pilots is, instead of just cutting off pilots immediately, you can slowly reduce the things that can get piloted. Maybe start with, I don't know, maybe you can allow an account to have only one pilot or two pilots, lock those in. So you're still allowing pilots, but just less. And those pilots will eventually have to sleep, and the main owner will have to log on and play, or the account will go inactive. Maybe they can create a certain time period where events happen, so you can actually play during that event. I mean, I feel like they already do that somewhat. Like Kingsland opens on the weekend, but Kingsland or zone openings usually last longer than the weekend, and some of the time even pour into Monday, Tuesday, so people feel like they have to get pilots to play during that time. For competitive integrity, I feel like for Supreme Strife, Osiris, I think the players should actually be playing their account themselves, make the events happen on the weekends. But that's also when Kingsland happens, so it's kind of tough to time things up. But I feel like having pilots for these competitive events is really, really weird in my opinion. Definitely not a lot of games have that. Maybe in this genre, but like in other competitive games, you can't have like people log onto your account and play for you. Maybe if you can verify your owner of the account, you can maybe get some like special rewards, like bonus VIP, or I don't know, maybe like a consistent login from the same IP address. You could get some rewards, so you get benefited from not piloting. I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas here because I don't really know. Drop your ideas in the comments. Actually, I'm curious to see what sort of ideas you have for the piloting situation. How can you fix piloting? Obviously, the TOS is not being uplifted, the terms of service. People don't follow it, and it's not getting enforced. So what is the actual solution here? That's the question. What is the solution? Obviously, I'm against pilots. I don't use pilots myself. My account, as you can probably tell, it only has 1.2 billion KP, and it's not piloted. I don't pilot for barbs. So to wrap things up, at the end of the day, pilots exist because people love this game, but they don't have the time to play it. But if we want to keep Rising Kingdoms like a healthy level for every player, we need a system that fixes pilots. Hey, if you enjoyed this yap session, hit the like button and subscribe. I'm here making videos, not daily videos anymore, but I'm posting very frequently, so I appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!